Pay attention to Elena and her podcast. Never leak it and show it. Gotta pull your own weight if you reap it, you sow it. Yeah, gotta plant it and grow it. Drop that artificial food, come to eat with a poet.
Welcome back to Eat with the Poet. I am your host, Elena the Poet, and thank you so much for joining us on part 2 of what happened to our Haitian people. I am being joined by not one, but 2. Yeah, because it's part 2. You feel me? 2 special guests that are of Haitian descent. You've already heard from my king to the left of me. Yeah, that's my right hand. To the left of me earlier, Mr. Series, who has a number of things that we want you to check out. But now we got to go to the right of me because this guy is so special to me, right? We've been friends for so long, like over, 10 years?
Yeah,
it's got to be over that amount of time. He's an amazing brother. He's doing some amazing things. He is a photographer. He has a clothing line. He's a mover and a shaker. Let's hear from this brother. Please tell the people who you are. What is your name? Where can they find you?
First of all, my name is Jackson. Some of y'all may know me by Zoe, of course, but I'm just on the net like everyone else. You can find me Instagram, maybe Facebook.
Zoe Images, right?
Zoe_images. You can check that out. And I want to say thank you to you for that introduction. That was pretty dope. That was, I'm humbled by it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My apologies for being a little late. I was,
you
running
ain't late.
around.
You on time for part 2.
That's what's up. But, I really wanted to hear the brother's input on everything he had to say because him being Haitian, I know for sure he knows that this is a sensitive topic within the community itself. Yeah. So, but again, I guess we'll get to that. I'm just honored to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you started off and you led with passion. I'm on that. I'm about that passion. Like, let's just get right into it. Initially, we were talking about the Haitian president who was assassinated. Right. It was a tragedy. And then we were talking about how the possibility with all this different hearsay that it was organized. And then Will recently let me know that 2 or 4 guys were recently arrested here in South Florida with a connection to it. I understand they had 26 guys that they had in custody.
Right.
And then so this thing has started unraveling like real heavy from politicians to doctors to security companies and it's like, well, wait a minute, what's going on, Then there starts to be a question of what really is going on? What is the greater design? What was the purpose? Like, why did that happen and what is the intention for the country or the Haitian people now since that has happened? Like, what do you feel? Let's just talk about that, like, because I know you guys are having these conversations.
Right. Yeah, so like I said, even though I missed, what the homie Will had to say before, and again, this is a sensitive topic within the community because a lot of, the community was basically split as far as the president goes. Some really liked him. Some thought he was, into a lot of different things, and it gets kind of complicated. And then you also have to keep in mind when you're dealing with media, everything doesn't make it to the people how it's really supposed to. It gets chopped and screwed. So I may be doing this and doing that, but by the time you get it, Malcolm X said it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The media can make the innocent look guilty and the guilty look innocent.
Absolutely.
So to pretty much just give my take on it, my opinion on it. It seems to me like the president was on to certain things, exposing certain things. And we know there's certain small groups of people, the wealthy that's controlling certain things.
Absolutely, that's just keep it real.
There's a lot of foreign interest in Haiti. So don't get misconstrued with all the, this is the poorest country, there's nothing there. Believe it or not, there's a lot of foreign interest in the country. So my take on the whole assassination thing is, of course, we know there's bigger players at hand. And all the people that you just named, like the 27, 28 Colombians and the other people here, in my eyes, I'm looking at those as more so like scapegoats. Yeah. Just Because
a story to tell us.
you can't have
right? Like Fall
a
Guys.
president assassinated one day and then the next day, literally the next day, you're willing out people. Oh, here's the guys.
26 guys.
It's almost
all together. Like,
it's almost two staged.
Yeah.
To me. You get what I'm saying?
That
so
makes sense.
that raises a lot of red flags. But
did you think about it like that, Will?
Yeah, 100%. So for me, when you look at it, like Zoe was saying, you have all these conflict of interest, especially with the president. Some have said that even before the assassination, he had issues with business owners and people. So you can tell there was like a power struggle of some sort. So whatever ill feelings you had about this man, he's still a human being. As I mentioned before, nobody should have to walk up to a president's front door and just take him out, right? So for me, with them gathering everybody else after the day after, they're like pawns to me.
Yeah.
It's almost like how do you have a whole assassination group with no escape plan, with nothing like that? So again, it's
and it's kind of like they did it and felt like they could just tell us anything. Meaning, like they felt like they could just put a story together and just tell the people, because we're living in a time where people believe everything the news says.
Right. That's kind of true.
They believe everything that the media puts out. We're talking about now a generation where, okay, well, we were the 80s kids, and now we're talking about our mothers and for those of us whose grandparents are still living. If like I know when we came up, them people were stuck to the news, watching it day in and day out. Now that they're older, they believe it more.
Right. Yeah, and then there's a stigma about
condition.
Yeah.
There's a stigma about, like he said, the Haitian culture. We're poor. We have gone through some traumatic situations.
Right. It's like, why does things keep happening? And I've heard this question: why do things keep happening to the Haitian people or to the country? What is going on? From the what do you call it? The earthquakes to all the things. It's kind of like a dark energy.
Right.
Can you talk about that?
Well, as far as that goes, I can't really pinpoint and say, well, this is why the dark cloud is over.
Of course, nobody can.
But I'm one of those people that don't believe there's really a dark cloud over the island, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, if you go and
but you've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, I'm gonna share this story with you, and I hope my female friend doesn't get upset that I share it. But
she won't.
It was a woman I haven't seen in a while, and I ran into her on Facebook. She just happened to have a post up. This was like during the earthquake thing. Funny that you brought it up. And her post was basically, she shared a video of I forgot the guy's name. Was it Pat Robertson or something from the 700 Club? One of those Christian type show thing.
Yeah.
The dude was talking about how the country is cursed because they made a deal with the devil back in the days.
I saw something. I saw that.
So she shared that, and I mean, it just kind of
bothered you.
Yeah, it bothered me because he also had. I think there was a black woman there also. She was the one actually reading the scriptures, and he was just commenting on it, right? Mm. So I commented on my homegirl's post, like, okay, so if the logic of what he's saying is right, that, we had to use some kind of witchcraft to get up under this oppression, this slavery, this chattel slavery. So you're saying God ordained this and he wanted this to be.
Right. And
the only way we would rise up out of something like that is to go make a deal with the devil. So that kind of really upsetted me. And again, that goes back to media. Mm-hmm. So this is media pumping this. So if you don't know about Haiti and all you ever heard was the poorest country, woo-de-woo, da-da-da, you'll eat that up all day.
Correct.
Right? But if we get to the reality of it, and I don't want to be long-winded, but there's so many misconstrued ideas and propaganda on the country, but people do that intentionally so they can get into the country and do what they have to do without you paying no attention. Is it some poor people died, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is, like I was saying, there's a lot of foreign interest in the country, right? I don't want to get into certain names and things like that because we don't know how far this thing goes, and we don't really want to get into too much details. But I wanted to touch on something what he was saying about the propaganda and things like that. See, when Haiti got its independence, it was the first black nation to do it. Mm-hmm. So But you got to understand, Haiti was one of the most profitable countries in the Caribbean, still is to this day. But once they got that freedom, a lot of other countries did not want to recognize Haiti
so
as
let me just
an
interject.
independent country.
For those of us who are ignorant to what Haiti produces or what they are actually contributing, what is it that comes out of Haiti? Or what is the...
Haiti provides a lot of import-export to a lot of other countries, especially here. My father, back in the days, he had a farm in Haiti, and he had partners here, and they would export fruits, vegetables, everything. The land is rich in that regard. So they were doing that. So when you think about when Haiti was enslaved, a lot of the French, a lot of folks that the slave owners, they settled in Haiti, and they did a lot in workers. We had workers, but like Zoe was saying, when we got our independency, a lot of them migrated to like the New Orleans area. Right. That's how you get that tie with French.
With the Louisiana Purchase and all of that.
That came,
you have to look into
the ones that fought and stayed with Toussaint Overture, they stayed in the country. They was like, we're done. We're not even moving. So the slave owners that they moved out, they all migrated to New Orleans. And when they got to New Orleans, that's how that whole French quarters was created, because it was the Haitians that were creating the entertainment for all the white people that was sitting up in the bleachers. So when if you ever visited the French quarters, it's kind of eerie, because you see the where all that, and just along that street, it was all the Haitian performing, providing entertainment.
And also, if you look at
all their goods and everything else, the seasoning and all that, they stole all that.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say was, if you look at the architecture, if you ever visit New Orleans and you go down there, the architecture is basically the same as if you visit Okap in Haiti. It's basically the same, because it's French. They call it the French Quarter, so French was ruling over the whole thing. But what I wanted to add on what he was saying, you were saying what comes out of Haiti as far as import, export. There's a lot, that we could get into. But one of the things I want to touch on as far as foreign interest, people coming in and doing nonsense in the country, was specifically what the Clintons did. What Bill Clinton did was, the island is rich. Imagine you're growing your own food, vegetables, rice, the whole nine. Haiti was very known for rice and sugar cane. But one of the number one exports is, a lot of people don't even speak on, is lumber. Lumber. Look into that. That's one of the number one whatever. But what the Clintons did, they had so much influence on the island, they basically set up this initiative to where they were going to make the people stop growing their rice on the island and start importing rice from Arkansas. So this is a politician. This guy is from Arkansas. You come to this island, which is called third world, poorest, whatever, and you say you're going to stop them from growing their own rice because we're going to release the burden of them having to grow their own food. And then you have people from your home state here in America shipping rice. So that's one aspect of it. That was nonsense. You can go look this up, and then Clinton came in backtrack and said it was a mistake, whoop-de-whoop. Now, another thing, dealing with foreign interests. When you're talking about the ports, bringing things in and out. I have family that's into shipping things in and out. There's these ridiculous port fees at the port. So they're telling you this is the poor country, boom, boom, but you're not doing the logistics, the socioeconomics behind it to understand why it's the way it is. So you have foreigners running the ports. I have friends who's my age, not older. Yeah, my parents are into this business, but I have friends my age who went over there, bought land, started businesses, and he's telling me, like, Jack, the corruption is just so...
They can't even...
He's like, as honest, you can try to be as honest you want to be, but the corruption is just so much, you're going to be tempted by it. So don't think it's just these people are illiterate. And another point, I'm sorry, I don't mean to ramble on, but I want to get these points out.
Y'all better tap in.
To touch on what you were saying about how the media, everybody believes the news nowadays. And then another thing that he said was, a lot of people think that the country is just poor. Yeah, there's a lot of illiterate people there, a lot to do with the schools and things like that, the roads, which is another thing we could get on with Jovenel was putting some things in motion to make happen, but there's people at play who don't want to see those moves happen. I'm sorry, I was rambling. I was getting to a point about the people that's
So you was talking about the port fees, and you got people that's like the same age as you,
right?
That,
So if you're trying to go there, and let's say you're here, you're conscious and you're aware. You see how your parents move. Most of us, I can't speak for him, but we watch our parents. Yeah. They'll most Haitians, you'll see them. They'll be very humble here, and I'm not saying when they go to Haiti they turn up, but that's the best word to describe it.
Okay,
they'll be humble here. They'll be in the little Toyota, whatever, working all day, this, that. But when they go back home, here's the palace. Here's the big businesses. Here's who we feed every month. Here's the charity work. Everything is in play, but it's invested into the country itself. So they understand that there's a lot of opportunity here. It's prosperous. You can come here, get it, and go back. So before I move forward, the point I wanted to make about the media part, like you say, true. A lot of people are just believing the news and everything that they're seeing, but you have a younger. We know the youth is the future. So with these cell phones and social media and outlets like this, platforms, people having real conversations, people are starting to tune in and starting to realize what's really going on. Red flags are being raised. You can't just kill a president. So what is the poorest country? Like the brother Will said,
they just killed
it's how it was done. And also, I don't want to bring no extra, whatever to your show, because I know you just try to keep things light or whatnot. But,
no, we planting seeds. Go ahead.
But if you really look into what was reported about how he died, certain things, there's symbolism in certain things.
Oh, absolutely.
You know
I'm a spiritual person.
Right. So if you're counting 12 shots and you're gouging out my left eye and all this, it's certain things
that it was
like
done
I said,
a certain way for a reason.
To send out certain messages to who needs to understand what. So like
and
I said,
that's where you tap into higher powers and other things on a whole nother level.
Right. So it gets deep, and
that's crazy.
But the media is always spinning things a certain way. But
they try to control the way that the majority of people think about a situation. They try to keep your mind from wandering in certain things. They want to give you a specific piece of information and say, this is what happened. This is what you need to believe.
But you know what? Also, with what goes on in Haiti, the only difference between them and us, in my eyes, is that our curtains haven't been unveiled as like our troubles haven't been exposed like this. We deal with a lot of stuff here as well. We got a lot of murders. Excuse me. We deal with drug issues, people OD. We have some bad things that goes on here in the United States. But the way, again, like you were saying, it's publicized. It's not publicized how when bad things happen in Haiti, because every time you hear about Haiti, you hear about a bad. It's always a negative.
And that's by design.
And if I'm sitting there telling you, every time I come to you with my troubles, at some point you're going to be like, man, here he comes. I know he coming to me with something. Right. So it's just the delivery and the power that the media does have in really covering up things. But we deal with a lot of corruption here. Anywhere. Anywhere.
You are so right.
Our curtains is not.
But it's like with the Haitian people, it's rarely being talked about. So that's why I really appreciate you guys for actually being a voice, because I have never had this conversation, and I don't have a Haitian person to have the conversation with. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the Haitian people with Americans, and we just going to be talking a bag of opinions. But when we sit down and talk to someone who's truly connected, excuse me, y'all, I have a dry thing going on, so I don't want y'all to think anything. I'm good to go. I had some sea moss this morning and a whole bunch of stuff to keep me going.
And also not to go left, just to add to that, I know what you was insinuating with that. Meaning you good, it's not what we think with the head. But that's another thing, see. As soon as the president was out of the picture, and we all know he was very vocal about not wanting certain people bringing in vaccinations and all this type of stuff, not even a couple days after he passes, 500,000 cases of Moderna somehow makes its way into the island with no issues. So it's a lot of stuff. Like I said, I don't know if you need to chop some of this up and not have it into your...
No, it's good. I like it. We finna go to a break and come right back. Hold that thought. Eat with a poet. You guys, do not forget to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and like and follow me. I need your comments. I need you to give me your testimonies. I need to talk to you. I want to connect with you. We are staying together on this journey. You understand? And we are back at the table. I know we should have wrapped this food up, but we are in such a good conversation right now. I'm being taught some things. I'm feeling some type of way that I didn't even know a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing today. And I think I've heard these things before, but I kind of want to say my mind has not allowed for me to remember it. But when I'm listening to you guys, certain things come back, like when you're giving me the history about New Orleans and stuff like that.
Right.
I have to have known that. Yeah, I have to have known that. Right. But we were in the middle of a passionate exchange, and we were talking about, well, you were mentioning how, you know, it's just as bad in America and those things are not mentioned to the degree that they want to talk about when bad stuff happens in Haiti. Which I totally agree with you on, because now when I sit back and think about it, because sometimes that's all we got to do is just sit back and think. You know what I'm saying? Instead of allowing all these
people
thoughts.
to fill you with all these thoughts.
That's right. That's right.
Put it like this, and I don't mean to cut you off. When you think about Haiti's in the earthquake, right? We heard about that for how long? How long did we hear about how they were digging bodies up? Right? We heard that for months and months. They kept running it. When's the last time you heard anything about Surfside? The situation we just had. You know, it ran, but it's starting to die down. Like you ain't hearing it. By this time, if it was Haiti, you would have still kept hearing it. More bodies.
I ain't gonna lie, I haven't been hearing as much about the president anymore.
Right. So it's just
that's been kind of dying out as far as
the degree of media is not as. Like, they try to drill out of your head so you hear it enough, then you start to look at a situation like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But
it's like with the president thing, they gave us a little bit of something to satisfy, like what could have happened. Yeah. And then the media has not really been emphasizing that. So if you notice, you don't really see or hear about, I mean, you hear about it here and there, where it's like they're trying to find these people and get this thing resolved. Right. But nothing like how you would see stuff in social media where they like, oh, you know, say her name and all these different things. Right, you don't see nothing like that going on with the Haitian president.
See, but you got to understand, too. See, I got my own feelings about things like that, too. But I guess that's for another show. I don't want to just come on here and let out all my gripes.
I told her we got to do a part 4-5 where this food came out.
And me and Jack go, wait, we talk some real deep conversations.
But again, like, but in a sense, I'm not saying I'm like glad this happened, but we know sometimes it takes something bad to happen in order for you to propel into whatever. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, like, one of the things I was talking to my homie yesterday about was, I was having a lot of conversations about this because I wanted to be prepared here.
Life prepared.
That's all right. I love that.
One of the things we're talking about is how this event happening opened up a lot of people's eyes and made them pay attention. Because a lot of people here in America, they scream Zoe this and Haitian, or I need a Haitian, blah, blah, blah. We know the sayings, everybody pumps it, but nobody really gets deep into the history and the cause and why does the news, every time you report, it could be something. Somebody graduated in Haiti, they have to say, well, you know, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere had someone graduate. Right. Why do you always have to lead with that? Again, it's the programming. So now you never want to go visit. You don't want to go see. Again, like I was telling you, if you go watch a documentary on Haiti back in, let's say, the 50s, 40s, looks just like Cuba. You know, beautiful island. Now, it wasn't all this trash and the whole nine. Like I said, there's hands at play behind the scenes. And I don't mean keep rambling and keep ranting, but all I want to say this directly to the camera.
Okay.
If you of Haitian descent, or you're dating a Haitian, or you just rock with Haitians,
right?
Start looking more into what's going on. Open your eyes to it, because don't think it's just foreign. Because there's American hands at play. You could take that how you want. Just pay attention. It's all politics. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up.
But
let me just real quick. I want to talk to my brother over here. Do you have any Haitian poems?
Yeah. So
Let me have you spit a poem real quick, y'all.
Yeah.
Break it down for the people. I'm just playing. No.
So listen, refuse to be classified as a political refugee. I stand here before you. Realistically enslaved in a world where shoot first, ask questions later seems more common among black folks wearing black hoodies, handful of goodies, stereotyped for all the wrong reasons. Shot dead seems like a cold season. Parents are normally left grieving. Witnesses say they heard a young man screaming, help! But this can't be real. Can somebody, anybody, please tell me that I'm dreaming like Martin Luther King did? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere is what Martin Luther King said. Now, what type of world are we living in where our kids can't even walk to the corner store? Adored by many, hated by one. Imagine your loved one facing the barrel of a gun. Pressed down in fear, knowing that their life is about to end. Heart pumping. Veins cold as ice. Mind gone. His killer never thought twice. Dead wrong. Neighborhood watching presidency wasn't supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Or welcome to the block. Well, some cops typically don't play fair. You know, it ain't hard to find faith when there's a church on every corner. Well, the only time we seem to unite is when somebody dies, so I'm guessing virtual reality must be a new thing. I lied, plastered on a green screen, because what you see ain't what you get. A place where freedom is handed at the expense of another dead child. Black Friday remains the norm in these streets. Another t-shirt reads, sleep in peace, but ironically, their body got to be viewed at a wake. Dreams no longer relevant, heart cold. What's common about having the same faith? And the line in front of Heaven's Gate is starting to become a tragic scene, where seeds planted on solid ground vanishing before its season. I can see the water from the well running dry. Urban streets labeled a war zone, only to be denied government assistance, another dead end. Trying to survive in that same home your grandmother struggled in. I'm starting to believe that pain is hereditary. You see, Martin had a dream before Obama wanted change. Innocent victims no longer living proof. Truths translated into lies. I don't care what nobody say, but accidents don't come in the form of 50 shots. I can hear Sean Bell, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd asking for the purge to stop, but time waits for no one. A distant mean to an end. I'm hearing peace, but all I see is war.
Come on.
Barricaded doors trying to escape that familiar cadence. Hands up, get on the floor, misguided souls. There seems to be too many loopholes in this system we call justice. It amazes me how concerned politicians become when it's time to vote. But yet equality still remains an issue. Cubans can stay, but Haitians got to get back on the boat. Ain't enough breaststroke to keep bodies from coming up afloat. I'm telling you, I'm tired of battling these seven seas. Ocean breeze never felt so cold. In fact, injustice never seemed so bold. Question, when did hunting season begin?
Come on, Will.
How much of this storm must we endure before the sun shines again? It's time to let freedom ring. Fish clenched in the air, symbolic of our past trying to outlast those that came before us. Far away from my dreams, unable to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I run anyway. Not because I'm afraid.
Come on,
you
Will.
see, I do it for the mothers and fathers locked behind bars, hoping that life doesn't mean forever in the cell. I do it for them Zoes, hoping that life doesn't mean it's a tragic killing. I do it for the mothers and fathers that trying to do it for their kids. I do it because distance, life, and death is a distance between us and now. And right now, freedom doesn't seem so close. So allow my pain to digress, allowing me to create a new purpose for all of us to live for a new day.
Come on, Will. Come on. Yes, I love that. Poetry is a gift.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
That was dope.
Yeah,
appreciate you,
straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. This was great. How much time do we have, Val? 4 minutes? Okay, so we winding down. We really gonna have to bring this conversation back. I really enjoyed talking to these gentlemen, these kings. Please follow them. You can find them. We're gonna put their tags up and everything like that. Will has many things going on, so please check for this brother. This brother is doing a rebranding of his photo company and his clothing line, which is Zoe Images, and you absolutely need to follow him. He's a great photographer. One of my first professional photo shoots I did with him, and I got mad love off that shoot. It was dope.
Also, I just want to add, like, after we did the shoot, she read she did a poem. I'm not gonna say she read it. She just did it off the top of her head, and that was just so dope. It was just amazing to me, because it's one thing to go to a show and be in the crowd and someone doing their thing, doing their whatever. But to have like a personal, it's like having Keith Sweat come sing at your anniversary. You know what I'm saying? It's like that was just real dope, and I'm just proud of everything she's doing, because I was trying to encourage her, like, you need to do more visual stuff with your poetry. Your energy is real dope. You inspire a lot of people. So I just like what you're doing. Shout out to you.
Thank you so much for answering my call. Same here. I feel so blessed when I can pick up the phone and call certain people and say, hey, would you come out? And then people say yes. That's why I always know God is connecting the dots for me. It's not something that I'm doing on my own, but God has given me the ability, and He's also providing me with the resources to do it. So I know I have to keep doing this work. So I thank you guys so much for being here. Listen, is there anything else you guys want to get out before we get out of here?
I almost want to piggyback off of what Zoe was saying, man. Truthfully, a lot of people may see you on the circuit as doing a poet, and just the conversations you and I have, how we all have our own personal lives. So a lot of people may not know Elena the person, but I want them to know today that I've watched you grow on so many levels. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we first connected, and how timid you was in the approach, right? And it was just you being humble. You know what I'm saying? And I've always admired your respect to the artistry. But then that humbleness went away quick, because the minute you got on stage, it was like, who is it? Whoa, okay. but I love your transparency. I love your candidacy of how you approach things. So yeah, man, you can always pick up the phone and give me a call.
I really appreciate it.
I really support what you do. And you feed me too. Stuck with me.
I love it. And I actually genuinely love both of you. I really do. I thank you so much for being here. Guys, listen, this is part 2 of Eat with a Poet. We're gonna have to get these gentlemen back for something else. I don't know what. Maybe a live photo shoot and a poetry you know what I'm saying? Things, somebody on the stage while we doing some. Look, we creators.
We're gonna do something in Haiti. How about that? We gonna end up doing something in Haiti because this is what we need. We need people that's here, that's doing things. You're like a media outlet. You can come and just shed light, interview, and touch the people. Like, we're not.
Let's talk about
You can't love Haitians here and then get down there and be like, it's. We're the same people, just circumstances.
But when you working for God, like when you really working for Him, you can't see those things. You move in love, you know. So it's different. I thank God for that. All right, so listen, y'all, make sure you make sure you subscribe. Elena Poet on YouTube. Y'all check us out. What happened to the Haitian people? This is part 2. Eat with a Poet. Cool people, take us out of here.
Peace to all the queens. What's up out there? We live. Tapping in. I need everybody to tap in. Cool people. Eat with a Poet. Subscribe. Never leak it or show it. Gotta pull your own weight. If you reap it, you sow it. Come eat with a poet. Gotta plant it and grow it. Drop that artificial food. Come and eat with a poet. Kicking words with the poets, I get lyrical. Physical is great, my journey now is spiritual. Peace to the queens in the nation and foreign. I would like to introduce you to Elena the Poet. Stayed down in the jungle like some bare feet. Now when we toast, ace of spade, no more bare feet. Poking beans, Dade County, I'm still hood. Spread love, feed the homeless cause it feels good. Now pay attention, this is knowledge of wealth. Throw the school books away, this is knowledge of self. Quiet is kept, listen, this the Revolution broadcast. Now pay attention to Elena and her podcast. Never leak it and show it. Gotta pull your own weight. If you reap it, you sow it. Gotta plant it and grow it. Drop that artificial food. Come and eat with a poet. Come eat with a poet. Shout out to Elena the Poet. Cool people. See, I need everybody to tap in, subscribe, spread love. You know what I'm talking about? Black power. Black power. Black queens. Black kings. Shout out to all the kings. All queens. Forward movement.